can we have a look at your academic credentials and the same to support your position?
Very well, Chair. I have submitted the same.
Thank you. When you will be answering questions, you will be directing all the questions through the chair. Thank you. Sharon? The credentials? All right. Or you just confirm them. So we will proceed. I will now open the floor. Before I open the floor, we'll give you a few minutes to introduce yourself. Just introduction. Even if you take 3 or 5 minutes, tell us who Doris Ngeno is, please.
Thank you, through the chair again. My name is Doris Ngeno. Chepkoech is my middle name. I was born in Londiani, Kipkelion East Sub-County in 1988, the 6th of November. And I started school in mission school that was then called Londiani Academy. And I never changed school until I did my KCPE. And then I joined Kipsigis Girls High School and cleared in 2006. I later joined Moi University in 2007 and did my bachelor's in laws, graduated in 2011, joined Kenya School of Law, got admitted to the bar on the 21st of November 2016. I have been in private practice. I have practiced with 3 different firms. I went to Sila Munyao, then I went to Rono and Company Advocates, then I went to Motanya and Company Advocates until 2020 when I registered my own law firm, trading in the name of Disingeno and Company Advocates, and I have been practicing in my own firm to date, or until recently. I have done short courses in mediation. I am a certified mediator, and I have so much been involved in community activities. I have been recently appointed to the Office of the Governor as a legal advisor, and that is where I am currently. And also I had been appointed to this panel as an advocate. I wish to confirm that I am in my 7th year now of practice as an advocate and a member of the Law Society of Kenya. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you. I think that's it. And on your introduction, I will now open the floor for the honorable members to ask questions. We'll begin from my left, the Honorable David Maritim. Honorable Dominic, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Being an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, what advice will you give to the selection panel regarding the recruitment process of the County Secretary? Thank you, Chair.
Would you like to respond, or we can take about 2 or 3 questions?
I think it would be convenient if I take the questions, then I'll respond to them. Yeah.
So how many? 2, 3?
I can take 3.
3?
Yes.
All right. So for purposes of this meeting, so 3 questions.
Yes, Chair.
An interval of 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable David Maritim.
Thank you, Chair. Doris, what are the legal procedures you will be looking out for while sourcing for a county secretary? Thank you.
The Honorable Anita Biagon.
Thank you. Ms. Doris, the county secretary, being a state officer, is required to be a person of integrity as per Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Other than integrity clearance documents supplied to you, what are some of the parameters that you'll be looking out for in a nominee before you make your final judgment? Thank you.
Well, I think...
Thank you. Through the chair again,
yes.
Let me take us through the answers to the questions. 1 is advice to the selection panel in recruitment. The Act, the County Government Act, together with the Constitution, is very specific on the procedures laid down while recruiting a county secretary. This is a competitive position, so the candidates or the nominees should be sourced competitively as provided for by Section 43A to be 44A to be specific. And in this case, therefore, we follow the laid down procedure of advertising, then shortlisting, then inviting candidates for the interview, doing a report. And the Act is also clear that once the report is done, 2 names are forwarded to the governor for purposes of nominating a candidate to the county assembly. So I would advise the selection panel to follow that procedure. And while interviewing, the Act is also clear on the qualifications that the panel should look at. A county secretary is a head of county public service board and is required to have 10 years of experience, working experience. He's also supposed to be a member of a professional body and should also have a senior management course to be able to, those are very specific qualifications apart from what is known to us as the Chapter 6, the integrity qualifications. So that is basically what I'd advise the selection panel to be able to comply with. On the legal procedures for recruitment, they go in tandem with the requirements that I have indicated. You have to advertise, you have to shortlist, you have to invite, you have to interview, and the report. That is basically the procedure for the recruitment. Then the county secretary through the chair being a state officer, apart from the compliance with Chapter 6 of the Constitution, we have the Public Service Act, which gives us the principles and values that a state officer should have. One of them would be integrity. You look at the integrity, you look at the leadership skills that a county secretary should have because he is the head of public service. You also try to test the transparency that a county secretary will have, considering the office that he's going to hold. And you also try to test whether he is a person that can be accountable to the activities of the office or whatever is done by his office, and also a person that can manage the resources that are there in the county. So basically, those are the other parameters you look for in a CS. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe a rejoinder, and once again, congratulations on being nominated to this panel.
Thank you.
And congratulations again on being employed to be the governor's legal advisor. Doris, when were you employed to be the governor's legal advisor?
To be specific, my appointment letter was given to me on the 1st of October 2022.
1st of October
2022.
2022. Congratulations.
Thank you,
So,
Chair.
you, in your explanation, you've told us that the laws guiding the appointment of the county secretary are very clear in Section 44 and 58. Is that the position?
Yes. There is an amendment of the County Governments Act, Section 44, that was introduced in 2020 that now refers to Section 58 of the Act, yes.
Thank you. So did you sit in a panel? Because this house received a name that was supposed to have been approved, but declined. So did you sit in a panel that interviewed that CS?
Well, at this point, I would not say I sat in a... Yes, I sat in a panel that did an interview for candidates for the CS position and candidates for the CC position. Yes, I did. I think that's the question. Did you sit in the panel? Yes, I did, Chair.
You sat. Congratulations again. Now, why did you sit in a panel when you knew very well that that panel had not been approved by the Assembly?
Chair, the law is very diverse. If you bring in 3 lawyers or 4 lawyers, we might never agree in terms of interpreting a section that is not clear. Apart from the section that says we should have an advocate or who are the members of the panel, which is very clear, the section that we were referred to, that is the section 58. We as advocates have different interpretation as to the provision of that section, and it is even it is the reason why most probably that section is not quite clear. And therefore, when I don't want to lie, I did my consultations with other counties, other advocates that we work with. The interpretation was also different, and most of these counties apply it differently. So as I look at it, I cannot say it was illegal or not illegal, because our interpretation is different unless there's a clear interpretation given to us.
So when you sat in that panel,
Yes.
which section of the law did you use or established that panel?
You see, Section 44 gives us the requirements of the membership of the panel.
Yes.
Section 58 says with the approval of the panel. So for me, through the chair, for me to explain why we have different interpretation, when you look at the section, the 58 section, it says the governor will appoint with the approval of the county assembly. In that section, some of us, let me give an example.
Yes.
Some of us interpret it as the governor should notify the county assembly to approve the appointment of a new county secretary. It doesn't quite clearly state as it is. Let me refer to Section 35, which talks about CCs, but just for purposes of making the explanation clear.
But for purposes of this meeting, it is the county secretary.
Yes, I'm just referring to the same approval that is done for the CCs in Section 35 as regards
Which
this.
is not applicable for the county secretary.
It is not applicable. I am trying to explain why the interpretation is different.
Okay.
Yes. The ones for CCs goes like, the name should be forwarded to the county assembly for approval. Yeah. But in this case, it is saying with the approval of the county assembly. So when it says with the approval, some will interpret it as the governor needs to make aware the county assembly that he intends to recruit a county secretary. That is why we have not agreed as advocates as to the correct interpretation, but well, we stand guided.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Members?
Thank you very much, Doris, and congratulations for being nominated.
Thank you.
Now, when recruiting a county secretary, and from the very many candidates, how will you identify the best candidate that has principle of good governance?
Through the chair, kindly go slow. I'm trying to write.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you understand about the dictates of principle of good governance.
Yes.
Now, when recruiting a candidate, and from the very many candidates that you have in your desk, how will you identify a candidate who has good, best principle of good governance?
Is that okay? So another question. We agreed on 3.
Yes, Chair.
So, Honorable Rogon.
Once again, Doris, welcome to the committee. And I think you've explained very well the law that guides on the selection of the panel.
Yes.
That picks the county secretary. Now, you being the legal person, you meet all the qualifications, member of LSK. Is it a requirement even?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is a requirement through the chair.
yes. Now, county secretary will be the head of public service. It is a very big role. It's more of like you will be running the county together with the governor. Now, in your panel, what would you be looking while recruiting the CS, especially if the person is not, it's not, there was something that you talked about having done a course. Is it a management course? Suppose we had a CS that we vetted and who works privately, that dean in one of the private universities. I don't know, according to you, is he properly qualified? Or in the one that you vetted, was he among the top 2 that was sent to this assembly? Thank you.
Rogon, I think, Honorable Rogon, I think that question may not be relevant for this meeting. Please, thank you.
Doris, thank you. Several nominees will appear before you as selection, as panel of selection. And maybe among these nominees, some of you will be your relatives. How will you be able to handle the issue of conflict of interest? Through our interaction, question number 2, through our interaction, you have already mentioned some of the key things or some of the key qualifications that one has to possess to qualify as a county secretary. I've already mentioned one should be somebody who embraces transparency, accountability, and also leadership skills. Could you please, Doris, name some of the leadership skills that one has to possess so that he can be able to execute his mandates or our mandates in that particular office of county secretary? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Ruta. Doris?
Okay, thank you, Chair. So through the Chair again, I will answer your questions. One of them is the way I will handle the conflict of interest. Conflict of interest arises where you feel like there is going to be some unethical behavior or bias or something. So if I am faced with such a situation, one, I'll declare the conflict of interest for purposes of taking further directions. But most of the time, if you are faced with a conflict of interest and know what is your role and what is your duty, you declare and state that it will not tamper with what is intended to be the purpose of your work. So leadership skills. One, it is very good to have very good communication skills as a leader so that you are able to communicate from the top to the bottom. The graph goes like that effectively, and you're able to make people be easy while dealing with you or working with you. So the other leadership skill is empathy. If you have empathy, it's a very good skill for a leader, because with empathy you're able to understand the different type of people you have in your workstation and how to handle them and how to address even issues that are there. The other very good leadership skill is teamwork. If you're able to embrace teamwork as a leader, it will make the organizational workforce be very productive because you're engaging all of them. The other very good leadership skill that is part of the principles of and values articulated in our Constitution and the Public Service Act is transparency. It is very good to be transparent in whatever you are carrying out at the various workstations. I think those are some of the very key leadership skills that a leader should embrace. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Doris. Maybe another set of questions from Mheshimiwa Dominic.
I'm okay, Chair. I don't have any other additional.
Panel, any other question, honorable members? So, Doris.
Yes, Chair.
For purposes of this this selection panel, if the assembly approves your representation as it is, what will be your work in the selection panel?
That's the only question, Chair?
Yes.
Very well. I can answer to that. My work, being the legal mind, is to also test, ensure first that the selection panel is compliant with the law. Then on the issue of the interview, test the understanding of the candidates in terms of, we have very, very important statutes that we rely on the county governments. So my work also will be to test whether these candidates are have an understanding of basic law on which statutes are very important when they come in to work with the county government. Yeah. So
as a member of the selection panel, so your work is to ensure that everything is compliant with the laws in terms of advertising, in terms of all those things. Now, if a member whose name had been sent to the assembly for approval will be among those to be interviewed, what will be your position as a selection member who had interviewed the same candidate?
I am a member of the selection panel. I don't know the candidates at a personal level, and everyone has a right to be subjected to the process. So we allow the process to take its course.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Doris. We wish you all the best. The Committee on Appointments wish you nothing but the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I beg to leave.